hands going up and down. As my hands go up, there's a sense that the back of my spine is contracting, something is sinking down it, and the front of my spine is expanding, something is rising up it. And then it reverses here. Front rises up and the back sinks down. And then the front drops and the back rises. Okay, so let's try just a bit with the stick, just twisting. So the important thing when we use the stick is that we don't let the stick pull the head forwards. So you really have to push the upper back and the neck backwards, and then just twisting. And then just begin to work the stick down a bit. And then just stick back up again. And now just some tipping. Feel the two ends of the stick. So one end is dropping and pulling towards your head, and the other end is rising above your head. And now just combining those two movements. So turning side to side and tipping. So we're just sort of making a figure of 8. And then just holding the stick above the head. And the same thing. Like you're rowing a canoe. And now let's just try a few, dropping the stick behind the back. So remember, a wide grip. So as you go over the head and down the back, the part of your spine that's stiff needs to push forwards and your sternum needs to lift. So that's the adjustment. And now just sitting for a moment with the hands behind the back, cupping each elbow. So this tends to adjust the spine into a better alignment. So where my arms are crossing at the back, that's the part of my spine that needs to come in, needs to push forwards. And that will allow my sacrum to drop and allow my sternum to lift. Heavy sacrum, light heart. My sacrum is where all of my weight and my gravity collects, and that drops down. And my heart is just wanting to lift upwards. And now let's incline forward, so twisting towards one of the knees and then just inclining forwards. The lead with the chin, so the chin's moving outwards as well as down. And then you can just let the spine go and bring the chin down to the knee. And up. We'd like to be able to do that with the hands in prayer posture behind the back. That's the way they do it in yoga. Feel the same rearing up of the heart. So it's as though you've got your hands behind your back. So the middle fingers are directing the heart upwards. And you're just sort of sitting back into your sitting bones, dropping down the spine. Okay, so let's stand up. Like slow motion, just up and down. So with the breathing. And then the same thing, but with the breathing on the horizontal plane. And then just riding horse. Feeling equilibrium. A feeling of draining down inside me. And this real sense of my own wriggly strength. Balancing that. And now let's try. It's basically a figure of 8 going around the feet like this. I'm using one hand for one side, one hand for the other, doing the 2 circles. So classical Young style yielding. Reaching forward with my left hand to connect to the person and then yielding them through to the left and attacking with my right hand. Now just feel the riding horse really settling into your heels. So we're very much with the flow down the back, the heavy sacrum splitting down the backs of the legs. And my arms have to be in front to balance my leaning back, otherwise I'd fall backwards. And now we just want to come onto the front of the foot and just take this holding the golden urn posture. You don't need to come off the heels, but then you need to loosen the heels on the ground. So now you have the sense of something rising up the front. You come into the front of the foot. And it should feel wobbly because you're off the heels. And we root in the heels. We stabilize through the heels. We energize from the front of the foot. And then we just rock back one at a time. So I go back into this heel, and then I go back into this heel. So ward off is a container. I'm producing the container. And I want to empty the container. So sense that the chest is receding. These hollows are really opening out in my shoulders. The same here and the same here. And then let's come forwards again. So now the ward off sort of dissolves as my elbows drop. And now it's just the energy issuing within the ward off. This sense of a fountain coming up the front here. Keep the sacrum relaxing, feel it hanging down. And then rocking back again. So one foot, and then the other. And just feel the posture. So heavy sacrum, light sternum. So if there's no sense of lifting here, then you're probably leaning forwards a little bit too much. You just try and feel as though your sacrum is swinging forwards so that it's directly underneath the sternum. And then this will have a natural lift. Try the two circles again, but now doing it more like a figure of eight. So if you just try the right hand, then I reach forwards, I come back in, and rather than just looping back again and doing a circle, which is what we did to start with. I'm going to bring it in, and then I'm going to go around my back. Like I'm going behind my back and coming out of my front here from my Ming Men. So I have to reach forwards, bring it behind myself, but of course my hand can't pass through my body, so the hand has to slip out. And then I reach forwards and back. And then begin to feel it in the foot. So as I go over the top of the figure of eight, I'm going around the front of the foot, around my toes. And then here, as I drop down the figure of eight, I'm going around my heel. So I'm tracing the figure of eight in my foot. So what we want to do is feel the opposition between the front of the foot and the heel. The heel is like the opposable thumb of the foot. In the same way that my thumb, when I grab something, my fingers wrap around it and my thumb wraps the other side. I want the same sense with my foot. My toes grab like this and my heel grabs like this. And then a bit with the other hand. Feeling of my hand slipping behind my back. It only needs to slip behind momentarily, but a sense that as it does, it's like something is pushed forwards here to make space for it. We just want to get away from this feeling that everything is happening in front of us and just wake up what's behind me a little bit more. So this is what's in front of me, and then here, this is what's behind me. And in order to just get the arm around, I really have to turn this way. I have to turn away from where it is my hand is going. Here I'm turning towards the hand. Here I'm turning away from the hand. So it's got that sense of dropping the stick behind the back, almost like you're turning inside out here. Feel it in the foot. So here I'm going around my heel, and then here I'm going around the front of the foot. And then just get both going together. and then just back into riding horse. And then just feel the feet. So my front of my foot, I have these two circles, which makes the normal figure of 8 around the hips when I join them together. But my heels are digging into the ground like this. And so if I put those two together, I get the reverse figure of 8, which is tending to push my sacrum forwards. So as I get the use of my heels, it just naturally pulls me forwards here, which is what I want. Otherwise, I don't get the lift from the heart. So when the foot is on the ground, you get a sense that you're grasping the ground like this. My toes are reaching down and pulling, trying to pull up into the instep from underneath. And my heel is reaching back and trying to dig under, again up into the instep. So the grip that I have on the ground is gathering the ground up the instep and up the inside of my leg. We want to really feel it in the heel. It's easy to feel it in the front of the foot because my toes are a bit like my fingers, they're very active. I want to feel the heel of the thumbs of the heel digging down and pulling up like this. And that will just naturally bring this forwards. And it's the same when we step. So basically that is happening when we step. So when I step, I'm throwing my foot forwards. I'm grabbing the ground with my toes. And then as I sink into the heel to bring my weight into the foot, there's this sense of the heel cutting under and bringing its bit of ground up as well. I throw the foot forwards. Now I'm grabbing the ground to pull it like this up into the middle of my foot. And then as the heel goes down, I'm scooping under that part here and again bringing it up. So let's just try just bringing the foot up and then just placing the foot. So I'm going around the front of the foot. And then as I settle into the heel, I want to go around like this, pulling up into the instep. And you just find that you just have a bit more stability because the foot is very much in two halves, the front and the back. So here I'm going around the front of the foot, and then here I scoop with my heel. Around the front of the foot, around and under the heel. So my toes are pulling the ground this way, like I'm trying to pull my foot towards this foot. And that is bringing my body forwards. And then as I settle into the foot, my heel digs back and under. And that really grabs the ground. Feel here, the hand turns to face up. It's as though your foot is trying to do the same thing. As I continue going around the heel, it's like my foot wants to turn to face up, like it would be if you were in lotus. The soles of your feet face the sky. And now let's just try this one. So the knees, active knees. My rising knee brings my heel off the ground, and it also lifts my hand. And it also brings me into this foot. So it's difficult on the calf muscles. Feel the energy that's rising here, but also feel the energy that's sinking on the other side. And this is the side that's wanting to go behind. So the heel. The heel is sort of behind you, and the front of the foot is in front of you. Try and stay off the heels. So even when my heel goes down here, it only sort of goes down gently. So we're sort of working without the root. And it just makes everything wobbly, precarious, and it just gets the legs a lot more. So there's a sense that something's floating or hovering inside me, like the ping pong ball on the jet of water. So as this hand is coming up and this hand is coming down, there's the sense that they can meet in front of me here. But then as it reverses, there's a sense here they can sort of meet behind me. So they can meet either in front or behind. I really want to be sort of in the middle. I'm between them all the time, rather than simply being behind and having this machine operating in front of me. Feeling the heels. Then just let this just relax so that you do just sink down through the heels. So remember, a root is not you on the ground, it's you passing through the ground, into the ground, and the ground coming up into you. So it's when I sink down with this sense of melting, so that something is passing through my legs and into the ground, that's the root. It's not me just balancing on a hard surface in order to propel myself. And then let's just come forwards again. And then rocking back, but instead of just going around the heel like that, let's go and grab the heels like we did. So now I really get a sense that my heels are really big. They've really gone down and back and outwards like this. And then I just slip forwards into the front of the foot. My heels just rise up, almost like my heels disappear. They just become part of my leg. And like a hoofed animal, an ungulate has its thumb halfway up its shin. And now back again, but going like this, round the heel, and then coming forwards. And now just moving from leg to leg, but with this sense of pulling myself by lifting my heel. So I want to just lift this heel off the ground and use that to draw me into the leg. It's like there's a rule that you're only allowed to have one heel on the ground at a time. So as this heel settles, this one has to come up. So it's like this perpetual motion machine that's just swinging me from side to side. So the knee releasing upwards here enables me to sink down into the opposite leg, into the heel. Let's just bring the feet up a little bit. And now, ward off. So I turn this way to throw my arm forwards, and then I turn this way before the hand has actually finished moving in that direction. So the hand is going out and forwards, and then I turn back And that opens up this space here. It softens the inside of the shoulder, and then eventually the hand starts moving with it. But I want to feel that point where something in me breaks and opens up. This is ward off. It's that hollow that opens up in the shoulder that has such a strong effect on the other person when you present them with it. I reach forward, and then part of me starts going back whilst part of me is still going forward. So there's that point of touching the person, which can then be very soft because you've got both movements. Like when you kiss someone, your lips come towards theirs, but at the point of contact, you need to be moving away from them. Otherwise, you're going to clash. So here, this is the moving away. I want to feel it opening up this space, but also continuing this hand going forwards because it's really stretching from the spine. This is Tai Chi, really. This action operating in the arms and the legs, everywhere, really, in the mind, in the heart. So something's going forwards, and then something just softens here. At that point of contact with the other person, which is as I'm moving back here, but still forwards with my hand, that has to be really tender and emotional and courageous and just open to any outcome, really. There's no plan of what's going to happen afterwards. So everything comes out of that initial contact. So I just need to be open and empty enough to allow that. It's like throwing a lasso or throwing like a boomerang. So here I release the boomerang and it starts turning back on me, creating a loop. Just use your free hand just to make sure that this area beneath the collarbone is really softening and hollowing inwards. Because it's very easy to think you're doing it and actually you're not. So this, my right hand, I tend not to do it. I think I've done it, but then when I bring my hand up, I can feel that the muscles are still tense, whereas this just does it automatically. And now let's just try a bit of this one, just the backwards and forwards one, because it's exactly the same thing. This is going forwards, and then I hollow here in order to bring ward off in. And on this one, just try and feel it in the leg as well. So as I open up here, I want the sense that this is opening here. My arm is bending and my leg is bending. That's enabling the chest here to hollow and the groin here to hollow. So both arm and leg are doing exactly the same thing. Left arm, left leg, hollowing in the groin and the shoulder. Right arm, right leg, hollowing in the shoulder and the groin. So feel what needs to happen in the arm to release here. I have to get a sense that my shoulder blade is moving away from my spine. So my shoulder blade feels like it's extending down the arm. So it's the release in the spine and the shoulder blade that enables this to happen. And it's the same releasing my hip away from my sacroiliac. This is really difficult. So you just, something in here has to release to allow the hip to go around like this. And it's directed by the knee the same way that the arm rounding out is directed by the elbow. So my elbow starts to come up and my knee starts to go out and up. And to get the activity in the knee, just allow the heel to come off the ground. So when my heel comes off the ground, then I just allow the leg to bend more. So the knee gets more of a bend in it, and this gets more of a bend in it here. So something happens here. There's an emotional shift. Something in me just accepts that I'm no longer in control. Something else is happening. And then there's a sense that that emotional, that vibration sort of resonates. It resonates through everything. And it just echoes endlessly then. Only emotion endures. So we're just trying to move away from sense impressions, away from information, out of the senses and into the feelings. The senses pick up what's happening outside. My feelings pick up what's happening inside. And now let's just go from leg to leg. Again, lifting the heel, but now also feeling this stretching open here. So my knee rises, my heel lifts, and this opens out. I'm creating like this empty space in the groin of the leg that's starting to fill. So when I ward off and yield, there's a sense that I'm drawing the person into this area, into this left side of my heart. Now the same here with this action. There's a sense that I'm drawing that piece of ground up into this side of my groin. So again, I have to really feel the sort of real tender emptying and opening here, which means that my back has to stretch across that sacroiliac joint. I want my legs to get really shaky and wobbly. So I need to just stay off the heel most of the time. Let's just try coming onto the front of the foot again. Bringing the heels up and holding, like you're holding a big jug. Feel the sacrum wobbling but dangling heavily. It's that stops me toppling forwards and allows this. So here's the ping pong ball. This is the jet of water bouncing away. And then I go back. Again, I want to go around the heel like this, around the heel like this. So I've got this circle here, I've got this circle here, but then there's a sense that I've got a big circle behind which contains the heel. And then let's bring it up. Figure of 8 gently. Figure of 8 in each foot. I'm going around this heel. I'm going around the front of this foot. And then just letting it settle, but that's always there.